Tom Caron back with you. Lou Merloni here with us, and the manager of the Boston Red Sox, Alex Cora, here as well. AC, we've talked about this over the years at Foxwoods and then at Springfield. It is kind of cool for you, isn't it, to get these guys together and start to get a feel for what this group is going to be like?
It's always cool come from Caguas at 85 degrees and they're here at 20. You know, I always like that part.
Welcome home.
Yeah. But, yes, it's always good. It's interesting because this offseason has been a little bit different than the last few. I was telling a guy that we're trying to recruit, whatever, that since I hop in the plane in San Juan all the way to the restaurant when I got here with Ramon and whatever, it's like the Red Sox talk and we want these guys, right? And it's different. It feels different, and there's no negativity, I think, at least from my end. I'm not getting that, and I think people are excited about the team. I mentioned to Rochi yesterday, I said, the difference this year is we're not hoping to be a good team. I think we have a good team right now. And everybody knows that. Now, what are we going to do to take it to the next level?
Yeah, so the good part, too, the rotation, to me. What you've added on top, Crochet and Buehler on top of the guys you already have, and there's a lot of depth. But it seems like, to me, we were talking about it before, Crochet, foundation years have already been had. Right? How can Crawford, you're not worried about inning totals like last year. Crochet's already had that, too, last year as well. And Buehler coming off Tommy John. Is that a nice feeling, knowing that, the whole talk of Crawford and how hitting inning totals, you'll always protect him, but you can just let these guys go.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that people are talking about six-man rotation. Imagine that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We were bullpen games, and it wasn't deep enough. And if you look at our seasons, the last three, we were in the hunt, right? In July 31st, we were right there, but we ran out of bullets, and it feels now that that's not going to be the case. Injuries happens, guys are going to slump. We're going to have to skip a few guys here and there, but I do believe that we are as deep as I'm not talking about talent-wise, 18, right? When Hector and BJ were part of it, they were good pitchers, right? And you trusted them early in the season that, you're going to go. Palmer was going to come in. Eduardo was going to come in. But you felt like you had 7 or 8 guys that were capable of going out there and give you 6 innings. And I feel that way this year.
Lou won the over-under on when you bring up Hector. And
I always said, in 2018, you bring up Brian Johnson, Hector Velasquez, you light up. And you've got a lot of those guys, whether it's Cooper or Fitz or Priester or whoever it may be. And that's what you're talking about.
That's the most important thing. When something happens, we're not going to try to, okay, it's going to be a bullpen day. Of course, the first things first, you have to have a flexible roster, right, that you can actually, send somebody down, bring them up, and you can keep doing all that stuff, right? But it feels comfortable now that, Coop last year, go ahead, go 5, go 6, Fitz last year, he pitched well. So we're in a good spot. We're in a much better spot now. Last
you mentioned 6-man rotation, AC, and that's going to be something that's available to you now because you'll have that depth. Is it something that if you decided to go that way, you'd have a 6-man rotation as kind of the default thing, or is it something you just deploy once in a while when somebody needs a blow or when somebody's gone short in a certain game?
We'll talk about it. We actually have meetings tomorrow with the coaching staff and the training staff and the front office. One thing for sure, the schedule this year is different. Early on, there's a lot of games, and then in June and July,
Thursday
we can hang out.
Yeah.
Let's hang out.
A lot of Thursday golf.
The Coras are actually planning on this one. And you know how I don't, let's not be polite, whatever. The Sox are in Milwaukee, I'm thinking. And then Thursday, Shakira is going to be here in Fenway. I'm flying here to see Shakira.
Before going back on the road.
Oh, yeah, and then we go on the road. Yeah. I mean, the schedule is amazing. No, but all kidding aside, early on, we might need to do the 6-man rotation, but then June and July, we'll see where we at, and we can use Thursday as a, to skip a guy or reset the rotation. I think that's a luxury for us, if you can get enough off days and you can skip guys and make it work, August and September should be fun.
Yeah, so offensively is probably the one area, right, that we're waiting to get addressed here. Tyler O'Neill leaves, but that 33% K rate kind of walks out the door too. but it doesn't mean it's fixed, right? Because I look at that lineup now, who you have, there's still a lot of swing and miss. And I think that's probably the one area we'd like to fix. How do you fix that? And obviously there could still be some moves as well.
I think it starts with health. The swing and miss part of it was big early on. Then we we were better halfway through it. The guys that were striking out early in the season, they struck out the whole season. Rafi started striking out.
Yeah.
And the shoulder situation put him in a bad spot. And if you look at Rafi since, Colorado, I think it was, he swung and missed in the zone a lot, and there was huge spots for Rafi throughout the season, especially late, and he wasn't able to catch up with fastballs, We always talk about the fastball up. We always talk about Houston, whatever. But what was going on, it was, that's not him. So having Rafi healthy is going to help. During the offseason, there were a lot of plans, a lot of things that the guys needed to do, to fix their swing. One of the things that I told Pete and the group, we got to recognize which fastball you don't hit. And we work on that in the offseason. If it's a four-seamer, work on the four-seamer. If it's a cutter, work on the cutter, right? Maintain your strength, but you have to work on your weaknesses because I think the league is at a point, throw your best stuff as much as possible and you get the results. Last year, I felt like teams made adjustments against us. Like we faced the Padres and they just played, say, Atlanta. And against Atlanta, they threw a lot of sweepers, a lot of soft stuff, and all of a sudden against us, they just rely on the fastball because they recognize that. It wasn't like, okay, the Red Sox are throwing sweepers, that's what they're going to do, right? No, the league adjusted to us. It took us a while to do the same thing. So in the offseason, there was some work done, and hopefully we can actually make more contact.
We sat in Springfield last year, and everybody's talking about Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, right? They were still out there. There were guys out there. And you had a lot of teams looking and a lot of fan bases thinking, all right, this team could change if this happens. Same thing's kind of happening this year, but it's more about offense, right? And Bregman is the name, right? Teoscar Hernandez came off the board, but Bregman's a name that everybody's talking about, not just here. They're talking about him in Detroit. They're talking about him in other places as well, but they're talking about him here. Because even if you've got a history with the guy, what would he do? And I know we're not going to talk about a guy who doesn't have a spot on this team right now, but we all know the guy. We know he's got the winning pedigree. What would an Alex Bregman do for this team?
Well, I can not go into specifics of the free agent, but I think he's a pull hitter that puts the ball in play, and he's a good defender. The intangibles are the intangibles. We all know that. The kid, he's a winner since LSU all the way to the Astros. Obviously we did what we did in 2017. And if you think about it, he put that in the past, right? Like he kind of took that team on his back. This is what we're going to do. We're going to put 2017 on the pass, and we're going to be a good team. And, he's been amazing. He's been amazing.
By the way, great job by our editors. Just one left field home run after another. Just full side home runs here. Where would he play? If you or a guy like that, there's a lot of talk about third base. Is Rafael Devers your third baseman?
Rafael Devers is our third baseman. Alex was a Gold Glover at third base, and we all know that. But in 2017, I had a conversation with him, and he needed to play third because he was Correa and Altuve. I always envisioned Alex as a Gold Glover second baseman. His size, the way he moves. It felt kind of like you will be a second baseman, but he has played third base at a high level. So we'll see where he ends up, and we'll see where he ends up playing.
Speaking of intangibles, okay, I feel like around the game, guys come up to the big leagues probably less prepared when it comes to the fundamentals of the game, approaches hitters. A guy like Bregman, like what JD did for you in 2018 around the cage with some of these young hitters talking hitting, veteran leadership, having somebody around the cage with you got so many young talented players. How important is it, especially more so in today's game, to have veterans, whether it's in your lineup, in your rotation, in that bullpen, to talk the game?
I think overall it's needed, and for the reasons you just mentioned. Sometimes we rely too much on the coaching staff, and I still believe there's a line that it needs to separate the players and the coaches. My job is to prepare every single day to try to win a game, as far as matchups and all that stuff. It's hard for me to be in my office in the cage. It's hard for Pete to be with 13 guys at the same time. I think those conversations are huge. The other day I saw a picture on Lindor's Instagram account, and it was JD, Alonso, and Lindor sitting down looking at an iPad. And I'm like, that's what it's all about, right? Those conversations. JT did it a few years ago.
Schwarber did it, right? When he came in at the end of 21. He didn't change the offense, but he changed the culture around the cage.
I mean, I still remember the first meeting we had. We were in Tampa when he got traded. He got there the second day, and we were facing the lefty, Yarbrough, right? And Yarbrough at Tampa, he was always good against us, right? And we're going over the scouting report, the cutter and this and that and the angle. He's sitting there, with his underwear, the USA underwear, whatever, a cup of coffee, and everybody's going back and forth. JD's talking about the release, whatever. And at the end, Pete's like, Timmy goes like, anybody else? And Kylie's like, guys, this guy stinks. Let's go get him.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, because there was a transition, right? Like we needed JD Martinez in 18 to lead the group, but at one point it was getting too much, like too analytically.
Right. Scientific.
Very scientific. So we needed kind of even it out, and it was amazing.
Well, it means amazing. More coming from your peers. To your point. 100%. I remember I played for Eric Wedge, and he was like, I need you. Because at that time, I was towards the end of my career, but he's like, I need you because the coaches can only say so much when it comes to another player.
I went there the next year after you.
Yeah. So, but you played.
So you replaced him.
So you replaced me. Yeah. But you were a better player.
Smart move. You were actually. Look at your numbers. You have a better big league career than me.
That's right. But that brings up an interesting point. Like you worry sometimes the way this game has gone that middle class of players being squeezed out. Right. You got superstars making a lot of money. You got a lot of teams keeping guys on the minimum so that they can pay the superstars.
I honestly think,
but like Rob Refsnyder, as an example here, a Lou Merloni and Alex Cora, they're getting squeezed out of the game.
We'll be playing Mexico right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in the big leagues.
Brock Holt.
Yeah.
Right. Like Brock Holt was a winning player, a leader in the clubhouse. I mean, solid player. I mean, good defender, good offensive player, good base runner. Out of the game. I mean. That's where we at right now.
No doubt about that. We talked about this in the prior segment. The American League East. Not only have you improved yourself, the rotation is better. We know that the bullpen's better. The American League East has kind of gone through a shift. Right, Corbin Burns is out of the division. But you had a good point before about Toronto. The pitching's back, but you don't know what's going on there. Tampa Bay, Kevin Cash says, I don't know what, we're going to play at George Steinbrenner Field. We'll see what happens. Yankees are the Yankees, but it's kind of there for you guys to get back in this thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to throw you a knuckleball or a curveball. The Tampa thing, playing in that stadium, is going to change the complexion of the division. There's going to be rain delays. There's going to be humidity. It's not the Tropicana field.
Yeah.
You're going to play every day. There's no rain delays. That's going to affect not only them, but all the teams that are going to play there.
But they're going to deal with it all season.
And left field in Baltimore.
Right.
Yeah.
Those two things. I've been thinking about that the last 20 days.
They did that for Tyler O'Neill.
How we going to – I mean, like, we used to – we love going down there. Of course, So what's going to happen now? Right. They got a bunch of lefties that hit the ball ballpark. T.O. is there now and Gary, whatever. So it's a different environment. Toronto, I still believe they're going to pitch. They're going to be okay. The Yankees, like you said, they're the Yankees. There's a few things offensively that probably they won't do like last year. They're a little bit more athletic. We're better. We are better. So last year, I remember, in Springfield, I was loud. World Series, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. I needed that for the group that we had last year. This year, we have a good team. Now it's about work. What we're going to do to take it to the next level, and hopefully we can. We got to get back to play October baseball. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask you, the young kids in this organization, we know like now it's a big three, right? Because one of the big fours went out for Garrett Crochet.
Somebody asked me about the big three yesterday. I was like, the Celtics?
Yeah, Bird, Parrish, and McHale.
I forgot. I've been hearing about the big four the whole time. I was like, oh my bad. Yeah. Let's shift it.
You know how it is, right? You walk into spring training. We're sitting here the second, third week of March. One of them is going to be hitting 380.
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you – I always say, like, who are they doing it off of? Are they hitting AAA arms?
Yeah.
Guys they faced all year, or are they doing it off Corbin Burns, right? How do you sort of temper that? Do they have real chances? Obviously, you still got maybe additions for this offense, but how will you approach spring training with some of these kids?
Well, they're special. They're good players. The one thing, and hopefully we get the message this week, like whenever they get here, I don't want people to think that they're going to carry this team. Like we lived through it with Jacoby, with Dustin, with Jaron, with Casas, with Mookie, with Sander. They were part of the equation. Petey wasn't here in 07 to be the guy, right? He was just here to be the second baseman. You're hitting ninth, whatever. At the
Don't
end of
tell
the day,
him that.
Oh, well, yeah. The last 3 weeks have been crazy. Yeah. But he ended up leading off, hitting second, whatever, and that's what we're trying to accomplish here. These guys are going to be established big leaguers if they're healthy. The kids were up there. Angelica they were upstairs, and on YouTube I go, well, you know what? Let me take a look at the highlight reel of Roman Anthony. I was like, oh, yeah, that's good. You get excited, but in spring training they're going to play. We always do that. We did it with Valdi. We did it with Abreu. We've done it with Casas, Rafaela. They're going to get at bats. What happens next, we don't know. But at one point, I truly believe that somebody out of those guys, they're going to come up here and they're going to contribute.
All right, I want to ask you finally, this is – I always remember I forget, it was either 04 or 07, won the World Series, and then the next year, like, opened on the road, long road trip, and, every day you go, we're the world champ, we're the world champ.
Yeah.
Very different this year. You're coming off 3 straight, no playoff years, but as this season begins, as this spring training begins, this Netflix documentary is going to come out. And there's going to be stuff. I don't know what you've seen of it so far. It's out of your hands now.
What you said.
I know what I said. But
I know what you said, but you don't know what everybody else said, right? Yeah. So there's probably going to be some stuff coming out of that people are going to talk about at spring training. Have you thought that through yet? Are you going to have a conversation with the team about, these are going to be storylines that are out of your control because they happened last year, but they're going to become storylines when they come out on Netflix.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in spring training, in the meetings, and what was said, it's something that as an organization, we signed that contract and we were exposed, right? And I think the way they portray it, we're going to look good. I was like, how are you going to make a 500 team look good on Netflix? And they're like, we guarantee we're going to look good. So everything I'm hearing it's been great, and a lot of energy, a lot of stories, It's not the story of the 2024 Red Sox. It's kind of like the stories within the team, which is fun and looking forward to it.
So no one's come up to you and said, just to warn you, I may have said too much.
Nah, okay. Or probably they're gone.
And that would be Tristan Casas.
Tristan. I was thinking of Tristan.
Does not come to you.
Yeah, or they're not here anymore.
Yeah, right.
Listen, Nesson's been making me looking for 29 years. They can do great things with that. You're going to be okay. Is that long underwear? Are you're ready for it? You're ready for it.
This is great. But
it's not Puerto Rico.
There's no doubt about that.
No.
All right, people are waiting for you. AC, thanks for dropping by. We appreciate it.
Thank you.